Yeah, guys, say what's up? It's your boy here, Can, once again. I don't know why the camera here is like, okay, that's a little bit better. Okay. So I guess it was dirty or something. Okay. Um, so it's funny that I make this video here. About a week ago, I made a video talking about like the comeback of professional wrestling, um, talking about all the different types of companies that are making a comeback, and how come this fall, moving forward, wrestling is going to be very interesting. Well, um, it's really going to be interesting this fall because it was just announced, or I want to say just announced rather, uh, per pro wrestling, pro wrestling, the Observer, Dave Meltzer announced that NXT, the developmental brand, the best thing going for WWE right now, or should I say has been for the last 5 years, is going to be live for 2 hours starting on September 18th, every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. They will be going head to head with AEW. This is some pretty big news for multiple facets of reasons why this is pretty big news. So let's talk about it. NXT. It was rumored for quite some time that NXT could quite possibly get on TV, get air live on television, be removed from the network, and transitioned over to a live audience, a live taping. That's been rumored for a while. Then we started to hear some rumblings. I'd say like maybe in the last week and a half, that it's been pitched out there for that there have been filters for NXT to air on Fox FS1 station. But I guess things fell through. And immediately after that, it was reported that NXT was being filtered. The idea for NXT being filtered live, or filming live, was filtered to USA Network, the home of Monday Night Raw. And it's all been pretty much a done deal. Wrestling Observer posted up this morning, that NXT will be airing live, and that it will be expected that WWE Raw, or that WWE themselves will make the announcement on Raw. I haven't seen all of Raw tonight. I've been kind of in and out with the show. I don't know, just wasn't into everything that they were doing tonight. So I don't know if WWE made an announcement announcing NXT going live on Wednesdays, during Raw tonight, but this is pretty some big news. Now, one of the things that some people kind of have concerns here is that at the end of the day, NXT is a developmental brand. NXT has been the best thing that WWE has been having for two reasons. A, Triple H. NXT is Triple H's baby. He rebranded NXT from what it was when it was a wrestling survival, elimination reality type of like show that they tried to make it and failed. And he really rebranded it into something special. And really, NXT has been the best brand WWE's had under their umbrella for the last 5 years. They've been putting on consistent product, weekly product. It's a 1 hour spot. It's easy to watch and digest. Their 2 hour takeover shows kills it every time. I don't think there's ever been a bad NXT takeover. There might be some that might have been, maybe a takeover that might be stronger than the other. But I don't think out of, the 6 year run that we've had NXT under Triple H's tutelage, I should say, that we've had a bad takeover. I've yet to see it. Like I said, some may be more memorable than others, but I don't think we've ever had a bad takeover. So, and I think that says a lot about the NXT brand, the talent that comes in through there, and the booking, and just NXT has a nice niche and it works. So, the idea now of taking that niche and what kind of makes NXT special, and now transferring it over to a live 2 hour format. And there's also been some talks of possible main roster guys from Raw and SmackDown, possibly making an appearance and mixing it up with the NXT guys. Um, kind of has some people a little bit worried if NXT is going to no longer be special, and what made NXT special is going to be somewhat diluted. And the biggest question a lot of people have coming out of this piece of information is, now that it's going to transition from the network to live television, will Vince McMahon like he has a bad habit with everything in this company, micromanage it, take over, and NXT is no longer the special brand that it once was? Um, that's the biggest thing, biggest concern that a lot of people have and are questioning about this move of NXT. Some people are excited, but some are a little bit, cautious, I should say, about this move. That is the biggest thing. Is Vince McMahon going to have his hands in it? Is he going to let Triple H just run NXT and let Triple H do what he does? So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen there. Definitely, it definitely be interesting to see some of the guys, Joey Gargano versus Daniel Bryan, or let's see, I don't know who else, Matt Riddle versus Kevin Owens or Dolph Ziggler, whatever the case may be. I'm just throwing it out there, like just some guys that they can kind of plug and play in the NXT show from the main roster that could click with that roster, and it could work. Um, the other question is that if NXT is going to be the third brand, the third tier, like official brand, because at the end of the day, NXT is a brand, but it is a developmental system. It is a farm factory for guys to get through the WWE system, know how things work, and then they get called up to Raw and SmackDown. But now that NXT is going to get its this new fresh coat of paint, I should say, and being a live and being produced in a 2 hour live format, is NXT going to be a third brand? What's going to be? Is it still going to be considered a developmental brand? What's going to be that brand? Would Evolve be that? Because Gabe Sapolsky, like I said, Gabe Sapolsky and his wrestling company Evolve, they're in bed with WWE. So would Evolve end up becoming that developmental farm system for WWE talent? Do guys from NXT still get called up and get transferred over to a SmackDown or a Raw? It's very interesting, and like I said, it leaves one to be kind of concerned. Definitely, for sure, because what makes NXT special is that it's 1 hour. It's an easy watch. The takeovers are 2 hours, so you appreciate it even the more. Um, NXT has NXT doesn't overstay or over welcome its presence, or it doesn't push its boundaries too much like Raw does, and sometimes SmackDown, where they do a little bit too much. NXT gives you just enough content to where you're satisfied as a wrestling fan, and it's interesting. Now, the second thing about this is that NXT is going to be going head to head with All Elite Wrestling, AEW. For a lot of people, when AEW was first announced, a lot of people were saying AEW versus WWE, AEW versus Raw, whatever the case may be. The Monday Night Wars are coming back, and I've said for all year long, I've been saying there's no Monday Night War. There's going to be competition, yes, definitely, but there is no Monday Night War. Like, that's not going to be replicated. Now, you can kind of say the new war is going to be Wednesday Night War. That's basically what it's going to be. Wednesday Night War. Now, things are different now compared to 15, nearly almost 20 years ago when WCW was around, where you didn't have the DVR or whatnot. So the term war, it really doesn't hold too much of value or holds much of a merit, because in today, 2019, you can easily DVR one wrestling show and watch the other one live, and just go back and watch the recorded show at a later time, or you record both shows and you know watch one today and watch the other one tomorrow. So it's things are going to be a little bit different. Like I said, it's going to be a fun time, but times have changed. So it's going to be a little. It's not going to be a complete copy and paste of the Monday Night War. And also, too, like I still say, to me, I think wrestling is making a comeback, but to me, wrestling, I don't think will ever be as hot amongst the mainstream like it was during the Monday Night War era. I hope I'm wrong. I would love for wrestling to be that hot again, where everyone's talking about it, everybody's into it. It definitely has the potential to be, with all the different multiple options we have, and with the different wrestling companies that's coming up, and that's you know coming up and doing things differently. There's definitely a opportunity for that to happen. But until that day happens, I honestly don't think that wrestling as a whole will be as hot and mainstream like it was during the Monday Night War era. Despite all that, it can still be a fun time to be a wrestling fan come this fall, and it definitely is proving it to be. The closer we get to the fall season, we're just hearing so many different things. Um, so this is the biggest news of the week. Obviously, NXT going live, and it going head to head with AEW. And funny enough, there's been a lot of stuff that's already kind of been coming out on here. The Young Bucks tweeted, because when the Wrestling Observer broke the news via Twitter, the Young Bucks retweeted and replied saying, "We're not scared." Chris Jericho did an interview with Busted Open Radio, and Bully Ray brought it up, of rumors of AEW going live and competing head to head with Jericho. And Jericho said, in summary, Jericho's response to NXT going up live, he says he thinks that he doesn't think, in his opinion, he doesn't think it's a good move. He thinks that it will only dilute the NXT product, and that it's just, at that point, it's too much WWE, because you already have 3 hours Raw, you have 2 hours SmackDown. If you'd have another 2 hour, 2 hours for another brand, a third tier brand, he thinks that it's too much WWE, oversaturating the market. And he said, at the end of the day, in his opinion, he doesn't know if NXT fans and AEW fans are one and the same. He doesn't know if there's like an overlap, because there was an overlap. The Monday Night Wars you had, and I mean, you did have some fans that were just WCW fans only. You got some fans that were just WWF fans, but a majority of the fan base during that time, the Monday Night Wars, they were overlapping. They were watching Raw, they were watching Nitro, back and forth. So Jericho was basically saying he doesn't know if AEW fans and NXT fans are really all one and the same. He thinks that the AEW fan base are mostly wrestling fans who haven't seen wrestling in years, but they're coming back to it, watching their product only, and with a mixture of wrestling fans who just want to see something different. They want to see an alternative, and they're kind of done with WWE. Like anything to do with it, they're just kind of done with it, but they want an alternative. He thinks that's what AEW's fan base stands for. So he says he doesn't know. Only time will tell. In his opinion, he says, AEW, they're not trying to compete with WWE. That's not their goal. That's not their mission. They're trying to do what they do. Do what they do best. And focus on what makes them, a good product. And it's interesting to hear Jericho say that, but then yet you do kind of get a little bit of shots or whatever, being thrown from Cody Rhodes to WWE. And it's like, dude, it's like, you're the only one that's like really kind of like crying wolf here. No one else in AEW is crying wolf but you. Kind of needs to stop, especially he's a key figure for that company. He's one of the VPs for that brand. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Like I said, again, I think a lot of people, and really, here's why Wednesdays could be the wrestling night, not just because of AEW, because you have AEW, that has they have a ton of momentum. They sold out their next two live shows. Their next two live shows, they sold out within an hour, so they've got some momentum. So you have the upstart of AEW. A lot of people really interested to want to see their product and see how that develops. And then again, we also have NXT. And like I said, NXT is the best brand that WWE has. They've been hot for 6 years. They haven't cooled off at all. With the rotation of talent that they keep consuming, NXT has constantly been good for the last 5 years. 5-6 years since Triple H has done what he's done with that brand. So NXT has been great. For a lot of people, they can argue. NXT always comes on Wednesdays anyway, just on the network. So you can argue, like Triple H said, NXT has been on Wednesdays since forever. They're just going to take it from the network, plop it on, a bigger platform in television. So it's going to be interesting because, like I said, NXT is a hot brand. It's not like it's AEW going up against trash. NXT is a hot brand. AEW has some buzz and they have a solid roster. So it is going to be interesting to see two hot brands go against each other. Because for all intents and purposes, Raw can be crappy in terms of their product and their material and how they execute things. Same for SmackDown. But if AEW was to go up against either one of those shows head to head, they'd lose. It's a losing battle. It is a losing battle. And for anyone who wants to type on the keyboards and, flaming, be a keyboard warrior, it's just facts. WWE sucks, but WWE is a juggernaut. They own the wrestling business. I won't say they own the wrestling business, but they kind of do. They own a majority of the pie, of the wrestling pie. They own all the pieces to the puzzle. It is what it is. And wrestling fans, no matter what they say, if they say Raw is crappy, it's trash, it's this, it's that, wrestling fans are creatures of habit. They're going to tune in to a Monday Night Raw to watch. They're going to tune in to, a SmackDown and watch. There may be some that fall off the wayside and say, hey, I don't watch WWE anymore, and they might not, and they might have touched, their remote control to turn to a Raw or a SmackDown in years and may have walked away completely. But that fan base is only a small, tiny percentage compared to the ones that say they're not going to watch Raw, but they still watch it religiously, every week, like it's church. So if AEW was to go up against a Raw or go up against a SmackDown, it would not be good for AEW. By them going up against the NXT, that's going to be a little bit interesting because NXT, even though it is under the WWE umbrella, the fan base for NXT is a little bit different from those of Raw and SmackDown. Raw and SmackDown still has that casual audience. NXT is, in my opinion, despite what Chris Jericho said on Busted Open Radio, NXT has that same hardcore wrestling fan base that NXT has acquired and has gained. They have a cult following. That's basically what NXT has been for the last 5 years. When NXT was really, really hot, like in 2015, 16, 17. And like I said, it's still a good brand. But when like everybody was talking about it between 20, maybe even a little bit further back than that, 14, 15, 16, 17, NXT garnered a cult following. It was like a ECW type of like vibe. in my opinion. AEW has garnered a cult-like vibe, a cult-like wrestling fan base. And to me, despite what Jericho said, I think that's the same fan base. I think the same fan base that roots and supports NXT is the same fan base that watches New Japan, a Ring of Honor, maybe an Impact, but that same fan base that is also supporting the uprise of an AEW. Wednesday is going to be interesting. NXT, for all intents and purposes, is the right scale competition to go up against AEW. So like I said, it's Wednesday night is going to be an interesting night. It's going to be interesting to see how they do things with NXT. How is Vince McMahon going to micromanage it, or is he going to just continue to let Triple H do his thing? Excuse me. We'll see. You guys let me know what you think about this in the box below. Comment, subscribe. Peace.